There comes a point in every soul's journey when life no longer feels familiar, when the very ground that once felt steady begins to tremble beneath your feet, when the faces, dreams, and desires that once defined you begin to fade into silence. You may call it confusion, you may call it stagnation, but the higher truth is this: you are standing in the sacred silence before transformation. This silence is not empty. It is divine preparation, the eternal pause between who you have been and who you are about to become. For every soul chosen to awaken, there must first be a great dismantling, a holy unraveling, a breaking open of all that is false, so that truth may enter. The caterpillar, before it becomes a butterfly, dissolves completely within its cocoon. It does not resist the process, it surrenders to it. It allows itself to be undone, because something within it remembers. This is not death, this is transformation, and so too must you surrender. Your old identity, your attachments, your patterns, your fears, all are being stripped away, not as punishment, but as purification. The universe is making room for what is divine to enter. This is why you may feel lost, tired, or unseen. It is not because you are broken. It is because the frequency of your old life can no longer hold your new light. Everything that once resonated with your former self begins to fall away. Relationships, careers, habits, and even old versions of faith that no longer align with your truth. The dismantling feels like loss, but in truth, it is mercy. For nothing real is ever lost. Only illusions dissolve. The old self, the one built on fear, validation, control, and survival, cannot enter the higher temple that is being prepared for you. The divine must strip away all that hides your essence, so that you can remember the eternal truth. You are never the mask. You are never the name, the role, or the story. You are the presence that watched them all unfold. So when life begins to take from you, when plans collapse, when love shifts, when dreams fade, pause. Do not curse the silence. It is in this stillness that God rewrites your path. You may hear nothing. You may feel abandoned by the very light you trusted. But know this: the teacher is always silent during the test. In those moments, heaven is not absent. It is busy rearranging your destiny. The pruning feels painful, but without it, you could never bear new fruit. The Bible whispers, every branch that bears fruit he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. John 15. This is the mystery of divine timing. When God removes, he is never taken from you. He is clearing the soil for your next season. The Akashic currents, the record of all that was and will be, reveal a pattern older than time itself. Before expansion, contraction. Before ascension, collapse. Before awakening, darkness. Every soul, before it steps into greater light, must first descend into its shadow. You will face old fears you thought you had healed. You will feel the weight of old wounds resurfacing. It is not regression, it is revelation. You are being shown what cannot pass through the next gate. Your soul is purging its history, karmic residues, ancestral grief, silent vows made in lifetimes long past. And as they surface, your task is not to fight, but to witness, to sit within the silence and say, I release what no longer serves the light I am becoming. This is the work of rebirth. It is not glamorous. It is sacred surgery. Your ego will rebel. It will whisper, you're losing everything. But your higher self will reply, no, I am losing only what was never truly mine. When you understand this, fear begins to dissolve, because what is meant for you cannot be taken, and what is taken was never meant to stay. Every ending is coded with the beginning. Every silence carries the vibration of new sound, and every moment that breaks you open is preparing you to carry more light. You see, this silence before transformation is not a pause in your story. It is the rewriting of it. The universe pauses you not to punish, but to reposition. Not to delay your destiny, but to align it with divine law. And divine law is clear. That which is true must rise. That which is false must fall. And so, all that collapses now is grace disguised as destruction. You are not being abandoned. The fire you feel is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to burn away the lies that you ever were, anything less than divine. So do not resist your unraveling. Be still and know, this silence is holy ground. It is the sacred space where creation breathes before it speaks. It is the still point where the divine whispers, "Behold, I am making all things new." You may not understand it now, but you will. You will look back one day and say, "That silence saved me. That stillness birthed me. That emptiness was where I met God." Before every awakening, there is a descent. Before light, there is darkness. Before divine revelation, there is divine silence. The soul, like a seed, must first fall into the earth, buried, unseen, surrounded by weight and uncertainty. And yet, beneath that soil, unseen by the eyes of man, something sacred begins to stir. Growth begins not in sunlight, but in shadow. The outer shell of the seed must break before the life within can emerge. So it is with you. You have not been buried. You have been planted. Every night that felt endless, every tear shed in secret, every unanswered prayer, these were not signs of neglect. They were the whispers of divine timing, the preparation for something your human eyes could not yet perceive. When your world goes quiet, when your plans fall apart and your heart grows weary, you are not being forgotten. You are being formed. You are in the sacred womb of becoming. The silence before transformation is not punishment. It is gestation. It is the hidden phase of your divine creation. For in silence, God works most deeply. He loosens what binds, heals what hides, and awakens what was asleep within the chambers of your being. The noise of the world must fade, so that you may hear the eternal voice of the Spirit once more. You may feel forgotten, but heaven has never been so near. The angels are closest when you hear nothing, because in the absence of worldly sound, you are being attuned to the frequency of eternity. In this stillness, all that is false rises to the surface. The fears you buried, the wounds you denied, the habits that once kept you safe, but now suffocate your spirit. You begin to face the shadow, not as an enemy, but as a messenger. The shadow reveals what must be healed. It mirrors the parts of you still waiting for love. And though it feels dark, it is holy. For what is revealed can finally be redeemed. This is the sacred paradox of awakening, that your pain becomes your teacher, your loneliness becomes your sanctuary, and your silence becomes your bridge to God. When Jesus entered the wilderness for 40 days, he was not being abandoned. He was being prepared. Temptation, solitude, hunger, all were part of his initiation. He faced the shadow not to destroy it, but to master it, to integrate it into the wholeness of divine will. And so must you. Your wilderness is not your defeat. It is your training ground. It is where your faith ceases to be a word and becomes a living force. When you face the mirror of your shadow, when your old patterns reappear and your fears roar louder than prayer, that is the moment of your true initiation. The universe is asking, will you trust the unseen? Will you walk even when the path disappears beneath your feet? Will you believe that love is still here when all forms fade away? This is the silence before your resurrection. And if you remain faithful, if you can hold peace within chaos, light within darkness, you will witness what few ever do, the death of illusion and the birth of divine vision. For when the false self crumbles, when your ego's noise fades into quiet surrender, you begin to see with the eyes of spirit. You begin to recognize that every pain was a messenger, every ending a passage, every silence a conversation with the infinite. The Akashic field, the eternal library of the soul, holds record of this pattern in every being who has ever awakened. Collapse, confrontation, clarity, creation. This is the rhythm of rebirth. This is how universes expand. You are experiencing not chaos, but cosmic rhythm. The collapse is necessary to release density. The confrontation is necessary to restore truth. And through clarity, creation is born anew. Do not rush this process. When the seed breaks open, it does not bloom in an instant. Roots must grow deep before branches rise high. And so, let your roots find depth in silence. Let your spirit remember what your mind cannot yet comprehend. You are growing in sacred darkness. You are becoming what eternity always knew you could be. The most dangerous moment in a spiritual journey is when the mind tries to escape the silence. When the ego, fearful of stillness, attempts to rebuild what heaven is trying to remove. Do not build again what God has dismantled. Do not resurrect what grace has buried. Instead, wait. Be still. Let the silence complete its work. The tree does not grow by tearing open its seed. It grows by surrender, by trusting that the soil, the rain, and the unseen light beneath the surface are enough. So too, trust that your unseen season is holy, that the tears, the confusion, the unanswered prayers are the rain that softens your soil so that something divine can finally take root. Every moment of stillness is a preparation. Every silence is a conversation between you and creation itself. The universe is not testing you. It is transforming you, and you cannot rush what is sacred. In this phase, the most powerful thing you can do is listen, not to the mind, not to the noise of the world, but to the pulse of your own spirit, because within it you will begin to hear the faint hum of divine order returning. The silence is not the absence of sound, it is the presence of God, and within that presence you begin to see glimpses of what lies ahead. A faint outline of the next chapter of your being. It is still forming, still hidden, but you will begin to feel it before you see it, the peace that doesn't make sense, the gentle pull towards something higher, the quiet conviction that all of this was never random. It was always preparation. Your higher self is whispering, you are not being delayed, you are being designed. You are remembering how to co-create with the divine from a place of alignment rather than resistance. And soon, when the soil has ripened and the seed is ready, the silence will break. But not with chaos, not with noise, but with revelation. And then, without warning, the silence shifts, not in sound, but in vibration, a subtle tremor within the field of your being. Something ancient awakens, something eternal remembers. The stillness that once felt heavy now feels sacred. The emptiness that frightened you now feels infinite, and within it you feel the first pulse of life. The quiet rhythm of creation stirring within your heart. This is the dawn of becoming, the moment the unseen begins to reveal itself. The veil between what was and what shall be begins to thin, and like the first light after endless night, your soul begins to rise. No trumpet sound, no thunder shakes the sky. Transformation rarely announces itself. It simply begins, softly, silently, inevitably. You start to notice it in small ways. And how your breath deepens when you speak truth, and how your heart softens where it once defended, and how peace now feels more familiar than fear. You are no longer chasing the light, you have become it. The one who once sought meaning is now the vessel of it. The one who once prayed for strength is now a living prayer. The one who once begged for signs now moves as the sign itself. This is what the silence was preparing you for, to become the very thing you longed for. To embody the divine instead of seeking it. The old world dissolves quietly behind you. The illusions, the attachments, the false identities, they no longer hold you. They cannot, for they were built on fear, and fear has died in your light. You begin to realize that the end of the old self was never death, it was resurrection. Every surrender was a seed. Every loss was an initiation. Every silence was the sound of God rearranging the stars within you. In the language of the Akashic records, this is the cycle of remembrance, separation, silence, return. Separation births longing. Silence awakens truth. And return is the soul's realization that it was never lost. You were never outside of grace. You were simply learning to see with divine eyes again. Now everything feels different. The same sky but vaster, the same world but alive with hidden light, the same heart but no longer confined by fear. You begin to feel that everything breathes with you. The wind moves when you move, the stars shimmer when your heart opens, the earth listens when you pray. You have entered the consciousness of oneness, the awareness that there is no out there, only reflections of the infinite within the infinite. The pigeons that gather on your window, the stranger who meets your gaze and smiles, the synchronicities that thread through your days, all become messengers of your alignment. You no longer seek signs, for your entire life has become one. And in this awareness, a sacred humility arises, for you understand that you were never the author of the plan, only the witness of its unfolding. The hand of the divine moves through you, not beside you, not above you, through you. It paints your thoughts with inspiration, your words with healing, your actions with love. You realize now that the purpose of awakening was never to escape the world, but to embody heaven within it, to walk through chaos with calm, to speak truth in love, to radiate peace where others only see pain. You are no longer reacting to the world. You are creating it, not through control, but through vibration. Your frequency has become your message, your stillness, your strength, your compassion, your command. This is the death of striving and the birth of being. You understand now that all mastery begins in surrender, that all creation begins in rest. That to align with divine will is to trust the rhythm of eternity. And as your awareness expands, you begin to glimpse the greater tapestry of existence, threads of lifetimes, lessons, and lineage, all woven by divine intent. You see how your silence served not only your becoming, but the evolution of the collective. For every soul that awakens, 1,000 more remember. Your inner healing radiates through time. Your peace becomes prayer for generations unseen. This is the hidden power of awakening. It never ends with you. It echoes across dimensions. You have become a point of light in the eternal body of God, and through you, divine remembrance flows. In this state, fear no longer holds ground. Judgment dissolves. Attachment loosens. You begin to live with a simple, sacred knowing. All things serve the light, and the light serves all things. Even your trials now appear as blessings in disguise. Each shadow a doorway, each ending a birth. Nothing has been wasted. Nothing has been wrong. It all was necessary. Every silence, every storm. You are the evidence that grace works in silence. You are the living proof that surrender is strength. You are the embodiment of the law of divine becoming. And when you look back now, you no longer see mistakes. You see movements of mercy. You no longer see brokenness. You see sacred design, because you finally understand nothing ever truly ends. It only transforms. Like a river returning to the sea, you have come home, not to a place, but to a presence, to the stillness that speaks without words, to the love that moves without condition, to the peace that does not fade. This is the fruit of silence. This is the meaning of transformation. This is the dawn of your divine remembrance. You have crossed from fear to faith, from striving to surrender, from illusion to illumination. You are not who you were. You are who you always were. And now, as the first light of a new creation dawns within your spirit, you understand the mystery at the heart of all awakening. That silence was never empty. It was full of God. And you were never waiting for light. You were becoming it.